Fight!
Hey everyone, so recently I did a live stream where we created a hypothetical Mortal Kombat roster. First off, I want to say it was super fun and thank you to all of those who had attended. For those who didn't make the live stream, I wanted to make a cut down version where it's just my quick explanation and you get a better visual look at the roster as it's being developed. If this video does well enough, I'd love to do a follow-up where I make a hypothetical Injustice 3 roster, a hypothetical Capcom vs SNK roster, etc. and etc. Also, please consider showing your support as it truly means a ton. Honestly, editing this down and cropping down a 2.5-hour live stream to be just under 50 minutes took a lot of time. So I hope you all enjoy the video, and before we get into it, a quick word from our wonderful sponsor. Hey y'all! Before we get into today's video, I'd once again love to thank our amazing sponsor, MadCatz. Today, I want to talk about their Ego Arcade Fight Stick. They were very kind enough to send me one of these things, and like the other stick, I'm a big fan of this one, and I love it. The Ego Arcade Stick is all about empowerment through customization, offering an unparalleled level of personal tailoring for your fighting game experience. Once again, this stick uses genuine Sanwa Denshi arcade components, the Vuelich style chassis with accurate arcade spacing between the 8 action buttons will have any fighting game fan dominating the competition. The Ego Arcade Stick is also a multi-platform powerhouse, fully compatible with PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo Switch, and PC. This stick includes some very useful features like the key lock functionality to prevent accidental pauses in tournaments, and a turbo button for those rapid fire inputs. Oh, and speaking of rapid fire inputs and sounds, they're just so pleasing on the ears. I've had a blast just using this casually and recording footage using this fight stick. Don't just take my word for it. This stick has been listed in Best Fight Stick by IGN and PlayStation Blog. To get your own Ego Arcade Stick, visit MadCatz.store now. If you're interested in their other sticks, be sure to check out their TE3 Arcade Stick and their brand new Neko all-button controller. Again, that's MadCatz.store. Once again, I'd love to give a big thank you to MadCatz for sponsoring today's video. Your support truly means a ton, and I can't thank you all enough. And with that, let's get into today's video. Good morning, afternoon, and evening, everyone. Nick here, and welcome back to the channel. So I wanted to do this after seeing a few videos of, like I saw Matt McMuscles do it, where it was like, here's my hypothetical Mortal Kombat roster, and then Maximilian Dude did a video where it was, hey, here are the characters that need to be in Mortal Kombat, characters that can be there, and they don't have to be, but it's fun if they are, and then characters we can just completely throw to the side and we don't need anymore. I thought this would be a lot of fun. We should do this, and what better way to do it where I can kind of throw some characters I thought I'd want to include in here, but at the same time, get some input from all of you. If I put someone in here that you don't think deserves to be in here, we can debate that, and then we can just completely change it out where it's like, okay, maybe they're not gonna be in here. Yeah, so how we're doing this is that I am also going to, as you can see, you're gonna have 4 rows of 6 here, and how this is gonna work is it's 24, the red, and what that is reserved for main roster or base roster characters. We're gonna be looking primarily at base roster for now, and then when we get to the end, that's when we're going to include DLC down the line. So that's when that's gonna change. We're gonna focus primarily on the base roster for now, and what's gonna make this unique is this is not leaning in either specifically going into the new era timeline or if they're gonna revert back to this. This is just my hypothetical roster for any roster we do for Mortal Kombat. So I'm gonna pull up my notes here that I have made a while back because I had been planning this for quite some time. Let's just get right into it. So here we go. So we're gonna look at the top row here, and these are consisting of the must-haves, the mainstays of every Mortal Kombat game. If you think Mortal Kombat, you know they're gonna be there. So these are like characters that we know that have to be in these games. And we're starting things off with our boy. Y'all saw it coming, come on. It's Scorpion. He's the poster boy. I will say Scorpion, Sub-Zero, Liu Kang, Johnny Cage, Raiden are the most baseline requirements for a Mortal Kombat roster. We are gonna discuss on that because that's gonna get very interesting. But speaking of mentioning our boy in blue. As many of you probably saw coming a mile away, we have ourselves the other ninja of the series, the actual poster boy of controversy when it comes to Mortal Kombat, and that there is Sub-Zero with the infamous spine rip. So, yep, there we go. Our first two characters are going to be, you saw it coming, it's Scorpion Sub-Zero. So now we're gonna get into the other mainstay characters here. Icons of the series. I thought they were gonna do this with MK1, but they didn't. And the next character is Kung Lao. I wished was the main character of MK1. Unfortunately, he was kind of sidelined. At least he didn't die, so that was a good thing. Kung Lao, I want to be like the main character, and if he's gonna be like the champion, that would be pretty dope. Dad talks Su Hao. You guys all want Su Hao so bad. Our next character that deserves to be on here is Carl Urban himself. Johnny Cage is starting to become like synonymous with Mortal Kombat now at this point. Like if he's not there, it feels weird. I think he deserves to be in here. I do like how they started experimenting with his playstyle, especially in Mortal Kombat 1, not giving him his like energy. Anyone want Cetrion Aguirre? Plot twist, Cetrion's not in here. I'm gonna say that right now, Cetrion's not here. Sorry if I am hurting anyone's feelings tonight. I didn't like Cetrion. I thought she was an interesting idea, just not executed well. And I didn't really mesh with her well. But on the topic of gods, and I know I saw a few people, I saw Matthew put it in the chat. Next on our list is Raiden. Raiden, I feel like he's starting to become a mainstay. He's not going anywhere. Has been in every Mortal Kombat game since Deadly Alliance. The only one he missed out on was MK3 and UMK3. So he has like mainstay in the series, so he's got to be there. Collector perhaps, AMA, go home. Go to bed. Am I the only one here that says Shao Kahn is a god and a sorcerer? He's a conqueror. I think Nightwolf needs to be here. I think Nick can agree. All right, Matthew, you're making some bold predictions. I miss the old Raiden. That's why I put the old design in. I like this one a lot. What? Really? You guys like Collector? What's going on? Man, I'm just stepping on toes right now. Oh my god, I'm sorry. Our final character in this that are like, hey, these are the legacy characters that deserve to be in here. And that is the sex icon of the series, Melina. I think that Melina is now a mainstay character at this point. Literally, we bullied the team so badly in Mortal Kombat 11 that she was like the final DLC character. So I do think that because of that, it's like, yeah, there's no way that Melina's ever gonna miss out. I know, what's his name? Maximilian Dude has made the statement that Melina is like Akuma. It like always needs to be there, and when she's not, it feels weird. So it felt super off. I know narratively it's because she was dead in Mortal Kombat 11 until Kombat Pack 2. I think that Melina deserves to be here. Wild guess, but is Creative Fighter here? I don't think that's gonna be a thing. I honestly don't think that's happening anymore. Unless they want to make that risk and do something to compete with World Tour, then yeah. But I am gonna say right now, just because of the sake of this video, I'm not putting Creative Fighter in here. I just want to go with characters. I'm also gonna say this right now, a lot of these are legacy characters. I'm not creating any brand new characters on here, so there we go. Melina fans are toxic AF. Hey, listen, if I don't put Melina on here, I'm afraid I'm gonna get doxxed or something like that, so there's that. But yeah, here's the first wave so far. These are just consisting of the mainstays from pretty much every Mortal Kombat game. We have Scorpion, Kung Lao, Johnny Cage, Raiden, Melina, and Sub-Zero. Now we're gonna go into the second wave, and the second wave is consisting of characters that show up here and there, but I would love to see return in some way, either get reworked to be either better, or because of how they've been treated in a previous game, I'd love to see them come back just because they were so fun in the past game, like in a previous title, that, oh my god, I want that playstyle to come back in this. Oh, yeah, that's a spoiler, or that's a surprise. Yes, Liu Kang is not in this. The NRS team and even Ed Boon has been like, dude, I'm kind of done with Liu Kang at this point, so I'm gonna try and make a MK game without Liu Kang. We're recreating Deadly Alliance here. I guess we're going in that direction. So we're gonna move on to the next character. We have the one and it makes me think of that one song by Kermit the Frog, It Ain't Easy Being Green. But this time around it is, because Jade is here. She sat out in MKX, she was brought back in Mortal Kombat 11. Not really my favorite character in terms of playstyle in MK11, but I would like to see what they could do with her, especially with how fun MK1's combat was. I'd love to see Jade come back in like a very fun, unique way. I think Jade deserves a spot. I think she needs to make a comeback. So when I say that Liu Kang doesn't need to be in, I don't think, like, narratively he can still be there, but like, if he's DLC, I think that would be fine, but I just kind of wanted to like pull him out for a second because his story arc felt like it was complete at the end of Mortal Kombat 11, like him becoming the new Keeper of Time. But I just kind of want to see what a Mortal Kombat game without him would kind of look like, and then let other characters kind of shine here. And speaking of ninjas, one other person that deserves to make their comeback, and I feel like would have been super fun if they were brought in somehow in Mortal Kombat 1, but I'd love to see them in like the next title. It's our lady in red, and that is Scarlet. Scarlet definitely deserves like a return in some way. So I think she'd be a lot of fun, especially making her have like whatever they made her pull in whatever she was capable of in Mortal Kombat 11, just having it with a faster play style of Mortal Kombat 1. I think that'd be cool. Yeah, I like Scarlet in Mortal Kombat 11 too. Just the bones of Mortal Kombat 11, I felt it was too slow. And I liked her speediness in MK9. So if they could somehow like fusion dance to 2, I think that would be a lot of fun. I see someone requesting more ninjas in here. And then I see Reptile and Noob Saibot. Just don't make Scarlet a jobber. Yeah, have her play a better role. Like, I'd love to see these. I also want these characters to have like better roles instead of like having your designated jobber here and there. Give Scarlet a chapter. Yeah, like what if it's like her origin story? That'd be so cool. And I know someone brought up, hey, Jax was mentioned in the Mortal Kombat 1 story in one of the endings, and perfect transition because Kenshi is gonna be here. I think Kenshi has not missed an MK game since his inception. He is starting to become like a mainstay character, probably the most popular of the 3D era characters, and I think that Kenshi deserves a spot. And then now we're gonna get interesting with this one. I need to pull up a different image for this one, and someone called it earlier that it was gonna happen. Our first surprise character on here, we are having the return of one of my favorite underrated Mortal Kombat characters, but with a twist. How do we feel about that so far? I'm curious. I think Nightwolf deserves to be in here, and I think this would be a cool way to make Nightwolf like a thing, but I am gonna say this, I think if they wanna make Nightwolf very unique, I think this is a cool way to make it where Nightwolf can play different, but it can still play along that thing they established in Mortal Kombat 11 where it's, oh, different people carry the mantle of Nightwolf. They have the title. This would be a cool way to do it. And I've been talking to AMA offline while we were just gaming. And I was like, yeah, imagine if they like made Lady Nightwolf play differently. For an example, like Nightwolf would have like the shoulder charge and she could have like Rambo's roll instead and it can go to a low sweep, or she can do something like roll and then like enhance it and go overhead with the tomahawk. Or instead of having like the bow and arrow throw, she could do either like tomahawk throw, and then if you want to enhance it, she can either do throw one and then lob it. So it's almost like Mai's fan toss in Street Fighter 6 where it hits and bounces and goes up, so you can like do some fun cross-ups. And I think instead of having like tomahawk, she could use more spear-based stuff. So she's more of like an agile character instead of Nightwolf being kind of projectile counter and close-up. She can kind of play completely different. I wouldn't say fully zoner, but like make her more of like an agile speed-based character and have her kind of be the opposite of like the traditional Nightwolf. I think that Lady Nightwolf would be cool. It would be a big risk. And at the same time, I think it's just a good way to like establish that like, oh yeah, we brought up a plot point that, yeah, multiple Nightwolves exist in multiple timelines. So either if we go into the new era, we can have a new mantle, or because we've had a dead Nightwolf for some time in MK11's storyline, if they want to continue that, have a new person take the mantle instead or something like that. But yeah, I think that this is one of those ones, and I know some people would get upset because it's like, oh, you're like changing like the style of a character. I think this is one of the only characters you really can get away with it. It's not that, hey, this is Grey Cloud again. This can be someone completely different. They're just another person carrying the mantle. It could be the descendant of Nightwolf, or even like the person before Grey Cloud. So I think it would be fun, kind of doing a completely unique choice. I just scrolled over at the chat and I realized that it's cooking. Oh my god. I like the idea of Lady Nightwolf. AMA's goated choice, female Nightwolf is honestly something NRS should do. Yeah, if they brought it up in the ending, that would be so cool to implement. Great, Nick. Now you have all the Twitter weirdos calling the game woke. Weren't people just calling it woke in general anyway? That word is like a nothing burger. It means nothing anymore. Goated choice, bring back male Nightwolf. I explained why I think it'd be fun. A female Nightwolf would be cool, but my goodness, the pushback would be crazy. If they brought out someone to consult the reason, similar to what they did with Ed Boon announcing why Scorpion was in Injustice, and like have like a complete design overhaul of like, hey, we consulted Jim Lee, he made a version of the character. This is why we thought he would fit in there. Also, Mortal Kombat had comic books, so it's cool to have a comic character in here. Like, hey, we wanted to take inspiration from like these native tribes. We wanted to come up with a different playstyle for the character, have it inspired by actual like native techniques of battle or something, and different tools they use for hunting and gathering or just in combat. Have it just be a different part of the character. I think that'd be dope. Make her fight a bit like Nari from Yes! That's honestly the idea I was thinking. Have her fight like Naru from Prey. That'd be dope. That was a lot of my inspiration, by the way. And if they ended up getting Amber Mid-Thunder to do the face model and voice, that'd be dope too. A lot of people are just saying just make her Naru from Prey right now. So yeah, let's move on to the next one. And that next character is, I'm gonna do a terrible impression of their voice. Hello, baby, did you miss me? Oh god, that was so terrible. I think Kano deserves to come back in some way. I'd like to see him be a little different. I know they made him super cyberized in MK, or they had him fight more knife-like in MK11, and he gave him like a lot of cyber parts. But if they leaned in more into Titan, what was it called? Titan Kano at the end of Snowblind. If they had that, that would be dope. Honestly, that's where my inspiration came from, like having this type of Kano in here. Where he's like all, yeah, that was an awful accent. Yeah, I knew it was gonna be terrible. Sounded more like Billy Butcher than Kano. Yeah, make Kano like the 2021 movie and everyone's happy. Dude, if they got Josh Lawson, I think is his name, that'd be dope. But at least have the eye laser metal plate, not like the weird Arcana. That's the one thing we're forgetting about. I feel like because of the movie, their popularity is only gonna get bigger. And they were a lot of fun in Mortal Kombat 1. And it's also funny that they're gonna be under this character. And that's our boy in black, the Reaper. That is Noob Saibot. There we go. We have our second row, which I would call the would love to see make it in. Noob Saibot playing the way that he did in Mortal Kombat 1 in some way. That was super fun, a great refreshing way to do it. But yeah, Noob Saibot I think is starting to become like a mainstay character at this point. He is super fun in MK1, I agree, Cassidy. Noob Saibot, the GOAT of all time, AMA, I agree. Uncommon Oddity, yep, I can hear you scream my GOAT. So yeah, I feel like adding Noob in here was a good call. We all stand Noob Saibot, and honestly, I can't wait to see him in the new movie. So now we're gonna be doing our next row, where it's, these are characters that aren't in all the time, and I'd like to see them come back, especially in this title. Here we go, this is our next row, which is the could be in. These characters aren't always mandatory, as history has shown us. And the next character we're looking at in this row, not just Sonya Blade, but it's Carrie Hoskins. Carrie Hoskins is going to be in the next Mortal Kombat. Not a Sonya Blade, she's just going to be Carrie Hoskins. So I think that she's one of those cool characters to have in here. So I think they've been doing the character better over the years, but I would just like to see it where it's kind of like a return to like gameplay style of MK9, because I felt like she felt too drone reliant in MKX and in Mortal Kombat 11. So having her go back to like close quarters combat with like the ring blast would be cool. I think they should go with less military with the design. Yeah, kind of maybe find a nice gray area between like 90s fitness model and military. The more I think about it, the Deadly Alliance was like a good approach, so maybe something like that. The next character that I think would be fun, they were pretty cool in MK11 and in X, and I thought they were gonna make it into Mortal Kombat 1, but I'd like to see them come back on one condition. Okay, so we've got Kotal Khan in here. I thought Kotal Khan was pretty dope, but after seeing him rock the Conan the Barbarian inspired costume in Mortal Kombat 11, and then we got Conan the Barbarian in Mortal Kombat 1, it's like, dude, they could have just made Conan Kotal Khan. So I really would like to see him come back in some way. I thought that would be dope. But I do think that Kotal Khan should come back in some way, even if it's just like somehow a prequel story and he's not the Khan or whatever. Or you get to see like they want to pick this up after Mortal Kombat 1, he is having a war with Shao Kahn of who gets to take the throne. So I think that would be, we're not giving him the wheelchair. He's not getting the wheelchair. But yeah, I think that he would be a lot of fun. Make him less of a pushover because he like got whipped horribly in MKX and 11, but he was a cool character in terms of gameplay. So fix his role in the story and kind of give him some of Conan's elements in his gameplay in Mortal Kombat 1. But in the comics, he's fire. Yeah, make him the way he was in MKX comics. Yeah, if they can do that, I actually need to read that and do that on stream. I've actually never read the comics and I really want to. All right, so here we go. Here's a character that was only in one from my knowledge, two technically, three. Playable in only one though, but I feel like they need to come back. This is a character that I feel needs to return in some way, make the character more ninja based instead of what he was in, like I liked him in MKX, but I liked how he was treated in Mortal Kombat 1, and that goes to Tremor. I think Tremor would be a dope character. Tremor would be dope to see in Mortal Kombat once again. Tremor, yeah, so he'd be a lot of fun. I thought it was cool that he became a real boy in Mortal Kombat X. If they made it where he was like crystalline the whole time, or if he was just made of rock and he just had like pretty much how he looked design wise in Mortal Kombat 1, just do that approach. I'd say he'd be pretty cool. And then we have the next character on this list here. And that next character is Hiroyuki Tagawa Shang Tsung. I feel like he's a lot of fun. I think we need to have like some sort of shapeshifter mimic type character. I feel like he's a character in terms of like, I'm about to sound like a brand ambassador and communications rep for Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, but he's a fun function in Mortal Kombat where we have like a shapeshifter. Shang Tsung, I feel like, is one of those like legacy bad guys, so maybe he's working for the big bad in this one. But yeah, I'd say Shang Tsung. We can debate that one more later. I'm still iffy on this one. We'll come back to that one later. Now we've got, this is gonna be a interesting one, and yes, I am stealing this idea from Matt McMuscles. It looks a little goofy, I don't care. There's a few reasons I wanna do this. So, I am going to say that we are going to give Cyrax and Sector a single slot together. I think that they would be fun. Like, they kind of can play similar enough at this point, similar to what they did with Mortal Kombat X with Triborg. I did almost put Triborg on here, but I realized that no, this doesn't make sense. Like, because the only reason that Triborg exists is because of the variation system. So unfortunately, Triborg would never come back because of that reason. I do think if they wanted to make the Cyber Ninjas a style character, so you can either hit down, down, left trigger, actually make the left trigger do something in the Mortal Kombat series instead of switch buttons. Actually make it where their consciousness is mixed into one. They can be like, vroom, and then like, it can just be like, vroom, and next thing you know, it's like, all right, cool. And then some of their chains stay similar, but their effects are different. So like you can have like some where it ends with like the buzzsaw going overhand, and then it can be like the flame palm, something like that. Some of the projectiles change. Just have it where it's mixed into one character. I think that would be an interesting risk, having at least still two of the cyborgs represented into one slot. So I think that'd be dope. So kind of like an old Noob Smoke thing. Exactly. I think that that would be pretty dope. doing something like that. What would that be? Duoborg? Yeah, Duoborg. That sounds like a place over in like overseas. Duoborg. We're gonna move on to the final character in this, the could be in section. Originally, I was gonna say this character I would be totally fine if they weren't in this game or in this roster, this dream roster we're making here. But because of how they were treated in the last title, I think they could have mainstay power. And if you have any idea who I am implying right now with this, and that is Reptile. I think Reptile was done best in Mortal Kombat 1. Even though that Mortal Kombat 1 has its issues, I have my issues with it, I think this is the game that did him the best. Alright, so that is, so a lot of people are agreeing with Reptile. Yeah, if they treated him like they did in Mortal Kombat 1, actually making him not a jobber and actually matter, then yeah, I'd say keep him in at that point. So now we're gonna get into the one, and this is the wild card row, and characters that I feel I'd kind of give them like the Havoc situation, where it's like they've been gone for a while, let's reinvent the character. We're gonna make them cool, reinvent their playstyle if they've been exclusive to the 3D games. Let's give them a 2D playstyle. So here we go. We are gonna make it interesting right off the bat. Here is our first wild card / character that I'd love to see get reimagined. If we can get Movado and Havoc in the same game, I would love to see what they could do with Draman. I know Ed Boon I know he has an issue with some of the 3D era characters, like Suhao. He didn't like Draman that much. But I think we need weird, creepy characters coming back in some way. So Draman have his playstyle where like he can have like his club be part of like his special moves, and he's like a heavy hitter. I'd say kind of give him like armored based attacks. I'd say reinvent the character a bit. Don't make him just a dude that like throws flies and he smells bad. I'd say after they treated Havoc in the main story, I thought it was a good way to reinvent the character. I'd like to see them do something with Draman. Draman and Moloch, one of the duos of all time. My mouse was covering it, and I'm like, oh, did you say one of the best duos? I'm like, that's kind of an interesting take. And then I was like, oh wait, no, you're just saying he's just a duo. I'd actually like to see Kai come back as a new protege, make him a fusion between Liu Kang and Kung Lao, and give him cool glowing tattoos. Dude, you kind of made a cool character pitch right there. I think Kai would be awesome in a new Mortal Kombat game. I just think it would be very ballsy if they cut Liu Kang and Kung Lao out of the game. That would be so ballsy. This is one of those weirdo characters I'd like to see get some like love. And speaking of characters that deserve some love, and someone being John Vogel said he wanted to see come back in Mortal Kombat X, and that goes to Hataru. I think Hataru would be a cool character to see come back. I thought he had a pretty cool design. I know he hasn't really done much ever since he was in Deception. He was barely in Armageddon. I don't even know if he was in the comics at all for MKX, but I think that he would be a cool character to see come back, reinvent him, kind of give him the Lee May treatment, have him play like an integral role when it comes to like the war aspect of whatever's going on, like whatever conflict's going on. And I think that would be fun to have them both in there. So now we have another character that I think would be pretty dope. Someone who hasn't been in a game in quite some time, and I feel like they deserve a comeback, and that is our Lady Kitana. I had so many of you all concerned for so long that Kitana wasn't going to be here. She deserves to be in here. She is another mainstay character. She's one of those characters that has a fun playstyle, always is included into the main story of the game in a cool way. So I'd say that, yeah, keep her around. They always get very unique with the playstyles and everything. But yeah, I think that she deserves to be here. All right, now moving on to our next one on here. I am going to put this person on here because I was hoping they would become playable in the new era. It was kind of disappointing when they were just relegated to being a cameo. The next character that deserves to have a playable role, and that character is Serena. Serena deserves a role in Mortal Kombat now. I think she needs to be here. She is such a cool character, and I feel like she had so much potential, like with everything they brought her in as just a cameo. And I'm like, why was she not in like the main roster? Like, I felt like that could have been like the right call, but they didn't do that, unfortunately. All right, hello everyone. Here's Rain.
Hi. I won't stay long. You can get back to your roster.
Who do you like on here the most so far?
Kenshi.
Okay, cool. I told you we were talking about Kenshi after we watched that one movie, and you're like, I love him.
Yeah, I do. He's my husband.
Noob and Serena on the same roster. It's beautiful. It was meant to be. I don't think anyone's gonna argue that Serena deserves to be on here. I feel like this character has missed out on MK for so long, and I think they need to make a playable return because they have not been playable since Armageddon. We need another Shokan playable that's not Shiva and that's not Goro. Kentaro definitely needs to come back, and I think he would be loads of fun. Just don't make his jump slam annoying like in Mortal Kombat 2. He deserves to be on here. Give him fire-based stuff, make him have some unique weapons, make his playstyle unique. I think it'd be a lot of fun. Hell yeah, Big Kitty back. I'm gonna start referring to Kentaro as Big Kitty from now on, all because of that. So now we have our final character slot. You know what? You guys choose. I want to see you guys put someone in here. Who should take the last spot? All right, I see Smoke, Cole Young. I've seen a Baraka, Akuma, Cobra, Ermac, Gearus, another Cabal. I have two Cabals, another Ermac. Oh, I'm silly, Shinnok. Onaga would be cool in the new era. Hydro, Akuma, Onaga, Quan Chi. See, okay, Aiden, you bring up an interesting point here with Cabal over Baraka. Cabal is rarely in Mortal Kombat games. He's really fun when he's in. Baraka, I think, only got good in the new era. And I think that's when they made him like a unique character, is because like for a while he was just kind of the jobber of the series. So I'd say that's the only reason that people like him a lot more now. Cabal is fun when he's there. Baraka in the narrative always feels like the jobber. The only time I didn't really like Cabal that much was MK11, and that was narratively. Ermac, I don't think he needs to be there every time. I honestly don't think he needs to be there every time. Aiden, oh yeah, no, you're good. You can only vote once. Yeah. You know what? You all have convinced me. We need the speed archetype. Make him cooler than he was in MK11. Make him maybe not as busted. And he would be a lot of fun. So here we go. This is my base roster. We're gonna go right into DLC wave number 1. So we're gonna have one guest character, and then I'm gonna go MK, 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 and then one more guest character. Because I like horror characters a lot when it comes to Mortal Kombat, we are having a horror guest character as our hypothetical MK character. And let me explain why I have chosen these. They need to have some relevance in some way to count or be considered. Because we know that Warner Brothers is not doing the best on money right now, this is the easiest one they could get. We can argue the guest characters later, but let me explain, and I guarantee if this character gets added, Rain is never playing this game with me. Pennywise the Dancing Clown. This portrayal of Pennywise is a Warner Brothers character. We had It Chapter 1, It Chapter 2, came out in 2017 and 2019, and then we also have the Welcome to Derry series that's coming out later this year. So I'd say that Pennywise does have some sort of relevance into the series. I know a lot of people are saying art, so maybe we can replace one clown with another one. But I was gonna say, to make him work in Mortal Kombat, maybe make it where he doesn't take his full 27-year hibernation. So that's why he can get killed easily and he's weaker. So, and then the reason that he wants to fight or get the whole power, he finished, like his tower ending could be him taking the power from the final boss, that being Onaga. He no longer has to hibernate to feed, and he becomes like the world-conquering being that he is. So I'd say that Pennywise, that's why I think he would work. That's my explanation of why he's in here. Pennywise is my pick for a guest character, but it can change. The character that just screams DLC to me at this point. Our first MK character, I'm gonna say it's Smoke. I'd say Smoke is a good DLC pick, because my realistic approach is you need to throw a couple legacy characters in there, make it where it's unique, where like, oh, you're gonna have sellers, you can't just have it be guest characters all of the time. You need to have a few characters that are gonna sell people. Ermac, I felt, was the one Ermac and Takeda were the two characters that sold people the most, I feel, when it came to Mortal Kombat 1's DLC. Shang Tsung was the seller for Mortal Kombat 11, mainly because it was Kirihiro Tagawa providing the voice and likeness of it. And I feel like Smoke lately has been taking a back seat in terms of like the narrative. Yeah, he doesn't need to be in every single Mortal Kombat game. I think just Smoke deserves to have some representation. And if it's DLC, I think that would sell people because enough people like him. Cyber Smoke would be cooler. Maybe make that a costume. Do that like with Tekken. I don't like Tekken 8 as much of how they're handling the game, honestly, or its DLC approach, but make it where one of his costumes is just every character has 2 costumes and his second one is Cyber. Just do something fun like that. Another DLC character, this is gonna be a little bit risky, and that is Aaron Black. I'd say Aaron Black would be a fun DLC pick. He was kind of just a jobber in MKX or MK11, so he didn't really have much to do in there. So I'd say he'd be fun. Maybe change up his gun animations, because I think like if they have him like at the ready the whole time, just revise him to make him a more like visually appealing character. I think he'd be cool. So we have 2 more legacy MK characters. Lee Mei. I think Lee Mei would be pretty dope. Doesn't need to play a big role in the story, but I'd love to see her as DLC, because like if people remembered how she was in MK1, then people would be like, oh, she's dope. Okay, so I did remove one of my DLC characters because I forgot to update it. I forgot I had 5 on here instead of 6. I see enough people putting it in here, so I'm just gonna put her in here now. But yeah, that's Ashra. She's coming back. In my MK world, if I'm pitching this to Ed Boon, Ashra. But yeah, I'd say Lee Mei and Ashra deserve to come back. Originally, I forgot I had Katana as DLC, and then I just scrapped her. I'm like, nah, she deserves to be in here. And then the final DLC character, a final guest, Stars. And then he charges at the camera, and then it goes to like the MK Kombat Pack screen. I think he would be dope as a Mortal Kombat guest character, honestly. Nemesis. Capcom has already put him in Dead by Daylight. He works pretty well in there, so I'd say have him in there. This is the one character I was like, if they're gonna bring back video game guest characters, that's something they haven't done since Mortal Kombat 9 with Kratos. Yeah, I see a few people saying he'd be an ultimate grappler. I'd say if they gave him like a fun projectile with like his missile launcher and then his weird tentacle strikes or something, infecting the opponent somehow, that would be unique. And then making the map RPD where like it's burning to the ground, and then there's like zombies on the map, that would be kind of dope. Nemesis would be crazy, and I know NRS would make him look really good. He would be insane. That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, I had weird dreams about it. I'm like, he'd be cool. Do we just make another roster where it's like DLC Wave 2? I mean, they always do a Kombat Pack 2. All right, you know what? We're doing it. Guest character number 1 for Kombat Pack 2. It's Doomslayer. This one's for me. Darkseid would have been a massive pick for sure. Yeah, if they're gonna add more, I feel like that's a weird trend that they're adding DC characters now, but if they wanted to add someone who's villainous, I did almost want to put Deathstroke in here, but I'm just gonna wait off there. Who deserves to be DLC now? I see a lot of people saying Su Hao. Do we just put Su Hao in here because you guys are asking for it? Do we make Liu Kang DLC? I was gonna say, if we put Liu Kang in DLC, we've got to put Shao Kahn in there too. Okay, I see enough people saying it. He's gonna make it in. Shao Kahn, he's there. No Face? Oh, my brain went with Studio Ghibli No Face. I'm like, what? What are you guys on? But I'm like, oh, you mean No Face from Special Forces. I'm gonna put him on here because it feels weird not having him there now. I'd be fine with him not being base roster. Yeah, I'd be fine with him not being in the base roster, but I feel like he needs to be in the game somewhere. So I'd say that is Liu Kang. I feel like that's a threat I'm getting in there. I'm not going to sleep unless you put Su Hao up there. Oh my goodness, am I getting threatened right now? All right, here we go. This is gonna get interesting. I did not mean to do that, I'm sorry. How are we feeling as Jax's DLC? Jax? Yay or nay? I'm curious. What do you guys think? Because I think he's kind of DLC at this point. We have Sonya and Johnny Cage who kind of fit the Special Forces fit. Like, he's in every time Sonya is, no matter what. In my opinion, Jack should replace Kung Lao, and Kung Lao should be DLC. Ooh, that's an interesting one. Liu Kang and Jax make sense as DLC. Yeah, Liu Kang definitely does, because I feel like he's just kind of like a mentor now. I don't think he really needs to be there all the time now. What horror pick would you choose? Because I'm being specific with my guest picks are people who can get mutilated and it'd be fine. So I'm not gonna put like a weird pick in there for DLC. I also want to be a little bit realistic. Let's do our last MK character. So our last MK slot. Should it be a good guy or a bad guy? We need Floyd, Blaze. Okay, you know what? All of you have convinced me a little bit. I'm gonna get a little bit risky. Yeah, I was gonna say that the thing is, if we get Great Kung Lao, then we have to remove 2 characters because it like narrative purposes. I think he'd be fun. And I think at this point, because he literally just borrowed moves from other characters, this is an opportunity to make him play like his own character. Make him the Prism Ninja, the Prism Combatant. All right, so we've got ourselves Floyd, the Pink Ninja. Give him like an actual playable role instead of being like a secret. I feel like whenever they add a secret character, they become playable later. Like with Reptile with MK Classic, he became playable in MK2. Noob Saibot was a secret in MK2. We had him as a secret in MK2, playable in MK Trilogy. Rain was a rumor in MK3, became playable in Trilogy. So I feel like he would become a playable character. You know what? We will put Suhao in here. You know what? Hang on. I can't show this image for long or else YouTube will think it's an issue. But our final DLC spot for the guests is Suhao's severed head. Here we go. All right, how do we feel about that? Is that better? All right, thanks, man. I can finally sleep. There you go. It's all for you. All right. But if I do want to be realistic with my final character on this video, and someone that even the creators said they're open to including on here, and I think because they're more of an indie character, they're kind of easier to acquire. Say it with me now. It's the Clown. All right, there we go. All right. So there we have my 36 roster for the hypothetical Mortal Kombat game that I would pitch. Yep, I think Art does get mutilated. He has this trash bag of weapons, so he's able to use whatever. He can literally he could literally do the bedroom scene as like him that could be his fatality. And then one of his victory poses could be like the dead body in the back, and it could just be like a pool of blood, and it could be him in Terrifier 3 just making blood angels. Like, that'd be so funny. I'd say that, yeah, Art would be a perfect fit. Even though he doesn't talk, it would just be like, oh, no, like him talking to his, just talking with his horn. Art is my final DLC character, my final guest, and just character on here. Yeah, and you get 2 clowns fighting. We get the, yeah, someone just pointed it out. Feather Guardian, thank you. They always have a fun dynamic where it's like 2 guest characters that have like some beef with each other. Like we had 2 slashers. We had Jason Leatherface. Okay, maybe not really. We didn't get Freddy versus Jason, but we got Alien versus Predator. 2 extraterrestrial monsters fighting that have a history. We had Terminator versus RoboCop in Mortal Kombat 11. We had, which is also a comic book series. We had Homelander versus Omni-Man in Mortal Kombat 1. And now it's the Battle of the Clowns with, they're clowning around with Pennywise and Art. And then we have 2 video game guest representatives where we have Nemesis and Doomslayer. But this is my roster, so I'm gonna save this and I'm gonna post it on Twitter and my pages, and like, here's my hypothetical roster. But yeah, this is the roster I would be satisfied with if it made it into the game and if I worked on Mortal Kombat. This is what I'd push for, or try to tell Ed Boon, hey, this is who we should try and strive for. Fight!